Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Healthy Relationships Project. This is Miss Katie coming at you from a beautiful beach. Today, we're going to be learning about boundaries. So we're going to learn how to recognize our own boundaries, how to respect other people's boundaries, and what to do if somebody doesn't respect your boundaries, or what do you do if you forget theirs. But before we do any of that, let's get on the same page. What are boundaries in the first place? Boundaries are lots of different things. They're rules that we make about how people treat us, if they're allowed to touch us, how they can talk to us. Boundaries are the rules we make that keep us safe and comfortable. We learned before that everybody should make you feel safe and comfortable. We should never be unsafe, scared, or uncomfortable with anyone in our life. Boundaries are the rules that make sure that happens, and we have lots of different boundaries. You make boundaries about who's allowed to give you hugs. Mom and dad and grandma can do that, but a stranger on the street would be very uncomfortable. We have rules about who can give you hugs. You might make rules about what kinds of jokes hurt your feelings. You could be fine with someone joking and saying, "You're such a nerd," because maybe you're kind of proud of being a nerd. But if someone says, "You're ugly, LOL," that joke's not as funny. We make rules about what kinds of jokes are okay and which ones hurt our feelings. We also make boundaries about who can borrow your favorite video games. Maybe it's different for different people, like your best friend can borrow games, but your little sister, not her. Or maybe you have that one prized possession, brand new video game that no one can touch, and that's okay too. We make boundaries about our bodies, about words, about our stuff, and we know what our boundaries are because of the way we feel if somebody crosses them. Let's think about a fist bump. If you had to fist bump your best friend, it'd probably feel pretty good. Fist bumps make us feel connected and awesome. If you fist bumped your teacher, that might feel okay too. Maybe it's because, you did a good job and they want to say, awesome. Even if you had to fist bump a stranger, it might be kind of weird, but our fists are pretty far away from our bodies. It might be, for the most part, okay. But if I said you had to squish eyeballs with your best friend, that would feel way different than a fist bump. You like them and everything, but squishing eyeballs? That's disgusting. No. If I said you had to squish eyeballs with your teacher, that is way too close. You might not want to do that. And if I said you had to squish eyeballs with a stranger, get real, Miss Katie. I'm not doing that at all. And that makes sense. We have rules about our body that keep us comfortable, and squishing eyeballs with anybody sounds really uncomfortable to me. Your body lets you know what's comfortable and not. When I said squishing eyeballs, you might have felt lots of different things inside your body. You might have felt your muscles get tight and felt like crossing your arms like, no one's getting near my eyes. You might have had a really big reaction and said, "What? No, that's disgusting," and put your hands all in your face. That's your body showing that you're uncomfortable too. You might have even turned around and just been like, "No, walking away from this, bye." That's okay too. Our body shows that we're uncomfortable in lots of different ways. Your cheeks might get red and feel hot. It might feel like the hair on the back of your neck stands up. You might want to step away or even nervous laugh. Our body shows that we're uncomfortable in lots of different ways. And all of those ways are okay. But we always get to listen to our body no matter what. So, are you ready for a challenge? Because here's the game. Somewhere in your house, go find a partner to play with for probably a minute or two. I'm going to give you a list of different body parts that you and your partner need to touch. So if I say pinky to pinky, you and your partner will touch pinkies like this. If I say fist to fist, you'll touch fists like this. But some of those body parts might not be so comfortable. Like if I said eyeball to eyeball, you definitely don't want to squish eyeballs. So decide with your partner if each body part is comfortable or not. And here's the most important part. Don't do anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. If I say eyeball to eyeball, and you feel like, ugh, no, well, say no and show no with your body to anything uncomfortable. Don't cross your own boundaries. If it feels weird, don't do it. And if your partner feels weird, we don't do it either. Both people have to feel good. But pay attention to which body parts feel okay and which body parts do not feel good. Go ahead, look at this list, find a partner, pause the video, play this game, and then come back and we'll talk about how it made our bodies feel. All right, how was that game for you? So if you paused and you went and played, probably some of these body parts were fine and comfortable, and some of them definitely weren't. Lots of people are okay doing elbow to elbow, hand to hand, maybe even foot to foot. But nose to nose, stomach to stomach, those might be a little too close, and that's okay. Our body gives us lots of different warnings when something is too close or too uncomfortable. So if your face got really hot, if you felt butterflies in your stomach, if your muscles started creeping up to your ears and you made a face like this, that's your body giving you a warning that this situation does not seem safe. That weird, awkward, uncomfortable, ugh kind of feeling is your body's alarm bell going, wee wee, this is weird, I don't like it, shut it down. We're allowed to listen to our body. That wee wee weird feeling is there to keep you safe. So if you feel uncomfortable, you get to listen to your body and stop. We don't do anything that makes us feel uncomfortable, unsafe, and weird inside. Now, that game might have been different playing it with your best friend. Then it could have been kind of silly and fun to do ear to ear and back to back. But if you played it with a total stranger, that might be really uncomfortable. And that's okay. We make different rules for different people. Maybe friends can do back to back, but a stranger, I'm not turning my back to them. I don't know them. That's okay. Maybe that game felt totally okay playing at your house, but if you had to play it on a stage in front of everyone in your school, or squished in a tiny little closet, that might have felt really awkward. And that's okay too. We make different rules for different places. You might be fine playing this game on a good day where you're feeling pretty happy, but if you're having a bad day or somebody's sick, I'm not playing this game with them. That's okay too. We have different rules for when we feel different. Our rules are not always the same. On good days, I might be really fun playing this game, and on bad days, I'm not even doing it. On days that I'm at my house, I don't feel so embarrassed, but in public, I'm super embarrassed. We make different rules when we're with different people, when we're at different places, and when we feel different. Those rules aren't always the same, but our body always lets us know when our rules are too close to getting broken. So if I feel weird, awkward, uncomfortable, I don't like it, that is that wee wee body alarm, and I'm always allowed to listen to my body. It keeps me safe. So it's not just touches that we have boundaries about. We don't just have boundaries about somebody trying to squish their ear on my ear, but that would definitely be weird. We have boundaries about other things too, and those can still give us that weird, awkward, uncomfortable feeling. What if your best friend wants to borrow your toothbrush? That might be really gross. Thinking about my friend putting their toothbrush in my mouth, like, ugh, I don't want that. We have boundaries about stuff too, and that's okay. If the thought of giving someone your stuff makes you uncomfortable or annoyed, or mad or nervous, we don't have to do it. Our feelings let us know when things are okay or not okay. And if you don't feel okay, don't cross your boundaries. You're allowed to say no. What if I showed up at your house looking for dinner? I just show up tonight and say, "What's up? I'm hungry. Where's the food?" You might be very confused and a little creeped out because, Miss Katie, I did not give you my address and I did not invite you here for dinner. That makes sense. We have boundaries about places too. I'm not allowed to just show up at your house without asking. That'd be really weird. So if someone says, "Can I show up at your house for dinner?" and you don't want them to come for dinner, you're allowed to say no. We have boundaries about places too, and that's also totally okay. What if your cousin made a website that just has pictures of you? That's a weird thing to do, cousin. Why is my face all over your website? If you feel awkward, nervous, uncomfortable, annoyed, again, that's your body telling you something crosses your boundaries. We have boundaries about our private information, like what my face looks like. And if somebody does something with our information that feels weird, we can tell them to stop. We're always allowed to say no or stop if someone is crossing our boundaries. That weird feeling lets you know this is not safe for me. So we make boundaries about all kinds of things. We have boundaries, of course, about the way that people touch us and who's allowed to and who's not. But we also have boundaries about our personal space. There's a reason we all hate it if someone puts their finger here and says, "I'm not touching you." No, but you're in my bubble. Stop. We have boundaries about time. If I follow you around all day saying, "What are you doing now? What are you gonna do next? What's happening after that? Can I come then too?" I might be taking up too much of your time. You need time away from me, time to do homework, time to have fun, time to see family. We have boundaries about our time. We have boundaries about places, so I can't just show up at your house. We have boundaries about the way I talk to you. I can't call you mean names or tell you gross stuff that you don't want to hear. We have boundaries about our information, so I don't go tell everyone I meet where your address is or that embarrassing story about the one time you snorted milk out your nose. We have boundaries about social media too. So nobody should put pictures of your face online when they didn't ask if that was okay. There's lots of things we make boundaries about, but the bottom line is, if your body feels weird, uncomfortable, annoyed, awkward when someone does something, that probably means they're crossing your boundaries, and we can always tell them, stop. Nobody gets to make you feel unsafe or uncomfortable. But not everybody's boundaries are exactly the same. Your boundaries and my boundaries might be really different. Like, I like getting hugs from people, but you might hate hugs and want a little more personal space. So we have to remember to treat others the way they want to be treated, even when it's different from how I want to be treated. The golden rule says treat others the way you want to be treated. And that's okay sometimes. Like, of course, nobody wants to get kicked in the leg, so I won't kick you in the leg because I would hate that. Nobody likes having people stick fingers in their ears, so I won't stick fingers in your ear because I would hate that. But when it comes to hugs, just because I love hugs doesn't mean you do. If I treat you the way that I like and start hugging up on you, you might be really uncomfortable and annoyed. So the platinum rule is something I like a little bit better. I treat others the way they want to be treated, even when it's different from what I'm okay with. Even though I like hugs, if you don't like them, I don't hug you. Even though I'm okay joking about being a nerd, if it hurts your feelings when I call you a nerd, I don't use that word. And even though I'm fine with you dropping by to hang out whenever, maybe you like more alone time, so I don't just show up and say, "What's up? I'm bored." I call you first. We always treat people the way they want to be treated, even if it's different than what I like. But here's the thing. How do I find out how somebody else wants to be treated? The only way to know is to ask. I have to ask them how they like to be treated. If I want to give them a hug, well, I have to ask first, is it okay to hug you? If I want to hang out at their house, I have to ask first, can I come hang out? If I want to ask if it's okay to joke about their nerdy interests, I can say, can I joke about that? I have to ask first. It's the only way to know if something is okay. And remember, when I'm asking somebody for permission, the only answer that means yes is yes. If I ask you for a hug and you say no, well, of course I'm not hugging you. You said no. If I ask to borrow your video game and you say no, that's it. No means no. I'm not going to follow you around and say, but please, just for a day, just for a little bit, just for an hour, please, you're being so mean, please, please, please. I heard you say no, and I kept pushing, so I didn't really listen to you. If my friend tells me no one time, that's it. I stop asking because they let me know about their boundaries. But what if I ask you for a hug and you don't answer me? Should I just run up and start hugging you? No, you might not have heard me, and then you'll be confused and uncomfortable. Maybe you were still thinking about it and I didn't give you a chance to answer. So someone just standing there isn't the same as yes. What if I ask to borrow your video game and you say, I don't know? Well, I don't know means you're still thinking about it. You didn't tell me yes, so I can't grab your video game and say, okay, bye, because I don't know if that's okay. The only way I know for sure that something is okay is if I ask you and you tell me, yes, sure, awesome, amazing, totally tubular, anything like that. Only yes means yes. That's the only way I know it's okay to do something. Now, what if somebody crosses your boundaries? Like they grab your video game, they walk out of the room, they didn't even ask you. What could we do about that? The first thing we can always do is use our I statement. And I love an I statement. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of sentences that start with I. I feel blank because blank. And I would feel better if blank. What I like about this is it lets somebody know how I feel, the very exact action that made me feel that way, and what they could do to fix it next time. It gives my friend a chance to do better. So if they took my video game and they didn't even ask, I can say, hey, I feel uncomfortable because you took my video game without asking, and I would feel better if you ask next time. Or if they joked about me being a nerd and you didn't check with me first, I can say, I feel hurt because you called me a nerd, and I'd feel better if you don't call me that anymore. People sometimes forget to ask, and if they do that, we can let them know our boundaries with I statements. That gives them a chance to do better next time and to stop making us uncomfortable anymore. But what if I use an I statement and they keep doing that thing anyway? They still take my video games without asking, or they still call me a nerd. Well, now they know my boundaries, so they can't pretend like they don't know. I get to be a little more serious. I use what I call my Wonder Woman or my Superman pose, and I tell them, no, you don't call me a nerd anymore. No, stop taking my video games. It's not mean to use that voice. It's serious. It lets them know you broke my rules, stop. We're allowed to be serious if it keeps us safe and comfortable. If we tell them our boundary and they keep crossing it, then I can go. I walk away from someone who's not acting safe. If my friend keeps calling me a nerd, I am walking out of their house and saying, bye, Felicia, I'm done. Stop calling me a nerd. If my brother keeps poking me, I'm walking out of the room because I don't want you poking me anymore. We don't have to stay with people who aren't acting safe. I don't have to stay at their house or in the same room. I can go away from them and go somewhere else. But if they follow me or if I can't get away from them, I can always tell. Tell an adult you trust who keeps you safe what's happening. Your boundaries are there to keep you safe. And if someone's not listening, they're not being safe after all. So we can always ask adults for help. We could ask parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, big brothers and big sisters, older cousins, teachers, guidance counselors, principals. There's so many adults whose job it is to keep you safe. And if you ask one and they're like, I'm busy right now, well, you could ask a second. And if you ask two grown-ups and neither one knows how to help you, you could ask a third. You could ask 5 adults or 10. You get to keep asking for help until somebody helps protect your boundaries. Nobody should make you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, and it's adults' job to keep young people safe. It shouldn't take 10 of us to help you, but you do get to keep asking until somebody helps keep your boundaries safe. What if you accidentally cross someone else's boundaries? That happens too. I might forget to ask before making a joke, or I might forget that, oh yeah, she hates it when I touch her video games. If that happens, 2 things I can always do. Number 1, say sorry. If I made someone uncomfortable, it doesn't matter that I wasn't trying. They still don't feel good, and it's my job to make it right. So I say, oh, I'm sorry I did that. And then number 2, the most important thing, I show I'm sorry by not doing it again. So if you hate the word nerd and I accidentally called you a nerd, I'm sorry I did that, and I will not do it anymore. If you just told me that you hate it when I pick up your video games, oh, there's one in my hands right now. I'm sorry. There it is. I won't touch it anymore. I say I'm sorry and I show I'm sorry by not doing it anymore. So today we learned that boundaries are the rules that keep you safe and comfortable. And everybody's boundaries are different. So we can always ask permission. If somebody crosses your boundaries, you can always ask adults for help. You can ask 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. It's adults' job to keep kids safe. So you can keep asking for help until we help you. Thank you for learning with me today, everybody. So remember, we can practice asking first before we do things to keep everybody safe and comfortable. And if we're not comfortable, we can always ask adults for help. All right, thank you for learning with me. Be safe, have fun. Until next time, bye.